Hi guys, welcome back. Today we have a update on the last week. It's been quite eventful here at Fruitopia. One of the major events was this death of the Valencia Pride. The graft just decided to die. This is the one I showed you guys about 2 weeks ago, cutting off the flowers. Well, soon after I cut off the flowers, the graft just died back to the rootstock, and the rootstock seems to be fine. It's even got growth coming, but I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to replace this bad news with some good news. I'll be putting a different tree here in its place. That's what happens with mangoes sometimes. They just have a sudden death. I don't know if it was because of my cutting off the flowers or too much water. The soil was pretty wet. I don't think it was that, because I watered the other mangoes the same way and they're doing fine. So we're gonna replace the bad news with good news. I have a couple of other new trees which I bought recently from Dailies to replace the Valencia Pride with, but I like to keep my mangoes in pots, the new mangoes, for at least 9 months, before they go in the ground. So this Quan variety, which I just received a few weeks ago, look how healthy it is. I don't want to sort of shock it. We're gonna have 110 Fahrenheit, 40 plus Celsius over the next 2 days, and it's going to be really hot. So I'm not putting in another mango in its place. I'm going to put a black sapote. Yeah, the black Tahiti, to be precise. This is the chocolate pudding fruit. And this guy here will replace the Valencia Pride mango. It's doing so well. I don't want to take it out of its pot. I really don't. But I need a replacement tree. Look how well these guys do in pots. I've had so much success with black sapote in pots. They even flower and fruit really well. As soon as they go in the ground, though, I don't know what the hell happens to them. They sort of turn around or turn upside down. They freak out. They drop their leaves. They drop their flowers. Their leaves get all funky. Look how beautiful they are in the pot. So nice. Whether I leave them in the pot for 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years, they remain perfect like this. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, this black sapote here, which I put in the ground about 3 months ago, this has got a long history of pretty much stress. I got this originally back in 2014, 5 years ago, and it was already a year old back then. So this is a 6-year-old tree that has suffered a lot. Whilst it was in a pot for 4 years, it was doing really good, and it was over 2 meters tall, covered with flowers. Then I decided to move it out of the pot after 4 years and put it in the ground, and it died back. It died back within 12 months to a stump, to that. Look at that. Still got scars from that event 3 years ago. Look at that. 3 years ago in the ground. So then I put it back in the pot, where it recovered for 1 year. Recovered quite well. And 3 months ago, I put it back in the ground in a different location, and it's doing okay. It's got new shoots, new leaves, some burnt leaves from the heat wave we had in November, early December, but that'll pass. these new leaves will replace the burnt leaves eventually when autumn arrives. Our heat waves end in February. In March, it's still hot, but there's no more, 40 degrees. And here's another black sapote. This one grew really well, also in a pot for 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. I think 3 years. And I planted it only I planted it this year in March or April, in autumn, and it was fully covered in leaves. If you can find this video, by the way, if you go back, and you'll see how beautiful it looked. But back in October, a couple of months ago, it dropped 90% of its leaves, and I don't know why that happened. It's got these new shoots coming, so it looks like it's going to recover, but it got a lot of dead branches, like this one. Dead branches all over, and this happened suddenly in late October, November. I mean, overall the tree is alive, but it suffered. It suffered quite a bit at the end of spring. Nothing to do with heat. There wasn't any heat yet, but it just dropped 90% of its leaves in spring after it had a wonderful winter. So winter didn't affect it, summer didn't affect it, spring did, which is unusual in spring to drop 90% of your leaves. So yeah, there is signs of life, as I'm showing you, slowly coming back to life. But the black sapote is very, very sensitive, very fussy. Not a happy camper when it comes to being in the ground. I've never had a problem with them in pots, but I don't want them in pots. I don't want these guys in pots. I want them in the ground. All right, guys, so let's get to work. Before I move on, I just want to show you where we're at right now. It's just past Christmas and we're moving into the middle of summer, and you can tell what season it is by looking at the flowers. This is the jacaranda tree, which is currently in full bloom, and it's very beautiful, subtropical, and it flowers only for 1 month. So we enjoy also the ornamentals in the garden. Here's a seed for the jacaranda. It always drops these seeds every Christmas for a new tree. So much that can be done with all the free gifts from nature. And as I'm walking past the Glen mango, I want to show you how it's doing before I go back to the backyard. I'm going from back to front to back. Look how good this is doing. So it's not all bad news just because the Valencia Pride graft decided to kick the bucket. Look how good this is doing. We've got new shoots coming everywhere on the Glen. Stellar performance from the Glen this summer. Not a problem. Look at this. It loves the heat, by the way. Absolutely loves the heat. This guy loves the heat. The 40 Celsius we're getting over the next 2 days, this is gonna explode with growth. Look at that. It's holding onto a few fruit. Don't know if we're gonna get any fruit, but there's hope from the Glen. Beautiful. The other option I have to replace the Valencia Pride mango is this seedling. This is a Kensington Pride seedling, which I also got from Daly's a couple of months ago, and it's doing pretty good in the pot. So yeah, this was a contender as a replacement, but again, I want these guys to do at least 1 year of duty in the pot before putting them in the ground. I've also got a jujube, the Lee variety. It's already fruiting in its first year. That'll go in the ground next spring. I've already got a place for it reserved. A lot of choices here at the nursery. Jujube, mango seedling, the wax jambu. But again, these are sensitive. The wax jambu is very sensitive, just like its brother here, the black sapote. So these are not trees you just drop in a hole and say thanks, see you later. No way. But we're gonna hope that this black Tahiti today enjoys its new location. So out of these trees I showed you guys, which one would you plant? Would you put a black sapote, wax jambu, mango seedling, jujube, or the Quan grafted mango I showed you earlier? Which one would you guys replace the Valencia Pride with? We also have a lemonade tree over here, which I want to leave in a pot, and pomegranate. The other choices, of course, are the Alfonso mango, which I don't want to mess with. It's very rare, very hard to find in Australia, so that's not going to go anywhere until it completely acclimates to the weather here in Melbourne. It's doing fine. I don't want to push my luck. I've got 2 avocado seedlings, unknown varieties from composted seeds, doing really well, but I don't want to plant those. And I've got a couple of the canistels seedling variety, and star apple, which is extremely cold sensitive, kaimito. So I'm not gonna take a risk with this one. Just received it last week. And next I have a jackfruit. I was thinking of putting the jackfruit in the ground, believe it or not. How silly of me. No. It's only like pencil thin. Not a good idea. It's tempting. Very tempting. And then I've got Abu number 1 and Abu number 2. 2 Abus. Yeah, I'm gonna play with one, take a chance with one Abu. That's why I got 2 of them. So if I lose one, I've got another one. But I don't feel like putting the Abu where the Valencia Pride was. I've also got another Relinia to put in there, but I've got a Relinia already in the ground right here. So I don't want 2 Relinias side by side. And the other canistel which I mentioned, this is the Ross sapote variety. So that's it. Let's get to work. So how do I plant trees? Very simple, guys. You just dig a hole and you make sure that the drainage is perfect, right? You grab your tree, you put it in the ground, you mix it with native soil, 50% native soil and 50% of your own soil, whether it's organic matter, compost, or whatever you happen to get your hands on. Nothing fancy. Or if you like, potting mix. Doesn't matter. I've tried every which way, and every which way works. Here's the dead, or well, it's not dead now. The rootstock. The rootstock is not dead. That's the rootstock. I'm going to put that in the pot since it wants to grow back. It's got these new signs of life, so I won't throw it out. Just leave it in the pot. I don't know what the rootstock is. Probably a bowen. And plant our black sapote. Let's do it. Just putting water in there to make sure the water drains. I'm sure it will. I already gave it a test back in August. August is when I planted the Valencia Pride at the end of winter. So what's that? September, October, November, 4 months ago. Let's see if it runs away. Well, it's not going to happen immediately, but eventually it will. And I always, that's the soil I pulled out. And by the way, the soil was not wet enough to cause root damage or root death. The soil was perfect, so the Valencia Pride did not die from wet feet. The soil is in perfect condition, perfect amount of moisture. So evidently it died from sudden death caused by cutting off the flowers. I don't know why. Anyway, this is the, it's a bit tight in here. This is the clay breaker I use, gypsum. That's saved a lot of my trees, tropical trees. By the way, this video is strictly for tropical trees, guys, not cold weather fruit trees. They're a lot easier to deal with here in a temperate climate. You never have to go through any of this. You just dig a hole, throw them in, like a cherry or an apple. Dig a hole, throw them in, water and cover. That's it. Nothing else. And they grow perfectly fine here. But wax jambu, mango, yellow sapote, abu, jackfruit, forget about it. They need so much love, attention, and care. All right, let's have a look at the water if it's drained in that half minute. Yep, it's only on the top now, the water. So 90% of the water's gone. That means it's well draining. That's how you do the test, and then you move on. Let's get this baby in the ground. Okay guys, so other than drainage for tropical trees, this is the other very important thing to remember. The level. See the level of the upper roots, the top roots. They should be above at least 1 inch or 2 inches above ground level. See that? Talking tropical now, we're not talking apples. We're talking mangoes, we're talking tropicals. Very important. You don't want these roots to be under level ground. The top roots, not the bottom roots. Not those roots down there. They have to be in the ground, of course. But these top roots, these guys here, they have to be above the ground 1 inch to 2 inches. That's absolutely necessary for tropical fruit trees. So, the tree is in the hole. Now we're going to backfill with native soil and compost. 50-50. Let's do it. Okay. A lengthy video is a good video when it's from Fruitopia. Hope you guys are learning as I did. about these sensitive tropical, subtropical fruit trees. All right, so now it's in the hole, but look how the root ball, or the root system, is sticking up from level ground. That's level ground, by the way. See the level ground? We're at least 2 inches, maybe 3 inches above level ground, the top roots. See that? That's how you want it to look before you finish backfilling. I'm going to finish backfilling now with this mixture of native soil, organic matter, and blah 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 compost, right, to fill that in. So that's how it should look before you finish the job. You don't want this ball to be under level ground. That's taking a 80% chance the tree will die in winter. Winter in Melbourne is rain period. That's our rainy season. It rains here every day in winter. So guess what's going to happen to the tropical fruit tree that's dormant? It's going to die from root rot. Oh yes, and don't forget to water it in. Water. Just to make sure everything works fine before backfilling. It's working really fine. Look at that. Beautiful. Just drown the heck out of it. It's the last test of float or sink. All right, so once that's done, we've put the remaining soil in. This is important to get all the air pockets out too. Look at that. All the water's gone. I flooded it for 5 minutes, and only 1 minute after I turned off the hose, all the water was gone. Guess what? We have thumbs up. It's called excellent drainage. Not good, excellent. So now we know that root rot cannot kill this tree, no matter what kind of winter we get. The only way it's going to die now will be from frost, heavy frost, or physical damage, someone walking into it. And that's it, guys. That's all you need to know. Now the rest is up to nature, up to this guy and his friends to go under and do their business. Feed my trees. Feed my trees. Thanks very much. Okay, let's give it a final watering, and we are done. By the way, I created a burn. It's called a burn. A burn is like a wall around the tree circle, so the water won't escape when you water. So every drop goes into it goes to the tree and not over there. So the burn is a multi-purpose, not just for water, but also for these for this mulch and tree cuttings and whatever have you, all this stuff. This is going to go in the burn over the next week. I just want things to settle down before I fill it with mulch and leaves, all that stuff in there, organic matter. I've got so much of it, but it's what I give the bananas. It's basically the foundation of life in the garden. Look at this. This is for the Rollinia. Look how much the Rollinia gets. So yeah, burn, which is basically a round wall made of soil, but you can use a tree ring. I use mainly tree rings in the garden, but I don't have any right now, so this is a natural tree ring. And that's it, folks. See how slowly the water is going down? This is with the topsoil put in, and it's gonna eventually be gone in about 2 or 3 minutes, and we're finished. We are finished with the black sapote transplant from the dead Valencia Pride. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to put a like and subscribe if you haven't, and we'll catch you from the next video. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.